There's a quiet kind of regret that doesn't announce itself with shouting or drama, but it lingers, heavy and persistent. It comes when someone realizes they've let something precious slip through their fingers, when the warmth, care, and constancy of a good woman is gone, and all that remains is the echo of what once was. Loss has a way of revealing truths that were invisible in the moment, how much they mattered, how much love was given, and how easily it was taken for granted. In that silence, in that emptiness, the heart begins to understand the depth of what it has lost. And it's in that understanding, painful as it is, that growth, awareness, and longing emerge. Losing someone irreplaceable is not just about absence, it is about the sudden clarity of what love truly means. Regret is a quiet, insidious feeling that often arrives only after it is too late to undo what has been done. Losing a good woman brings this emotion sharply into focus, like a sudden clarity that pierces through the fog of everyday life. In the moment of loss, a man begins to see what was previously unnoticed, unappreciated, or taken for granted. It is only in her absence that the full measure of her worth becomes visible. The way she loved, the way she supported, the small gestures that quietly carried the weight of the relationship. Regret and realization do not operate in isolation, they intertwine, forming a deep awareness that the love he had was not ordinary. It was steadfast, patient, and irreplaceable, and it existed without demanding the spotlight or constant affirmation. This realization is often both sudden and gradual. At first, it can hit like a jolt, a memory, a gesture, a place that triggers the awareness that she is no longer there. The mind recalls the countless ways she contributed to his life, the ways she stood by him, the unspoken acts of kindness that went unnoticed. Each memory becomes a reminder of the depth and rarity of what has been lost. Then, slowly, this realization deepens, settling into the heart and mind. It is not just a recognition of loss, but an acknowledgement of personal responsibility, a mirror reflecting choices made or neglected, words left unsaid, and actions unappreciated. Regret in this context is not superficial. It is a profound, almost physical sensation, a heavy awareness that accompanies every thought and every quiet moment. It is the understanding that what he had was genuine, rare, and transformative, and that it cannot be replaced or recreated. The permanence of absence amplifies the weight of this feeling, unlike fleeting moments or temporary mistakes. Losing a good woman leaves a void that cannot be filled by charm, distraction, or another relationship. Regret sharpens perception, forcing him to see clearly the qualities he once overlooked: her patience, her loyalty, her intuition, her ability to understand without needing explanation. Realization is inseparable from regret. It is the mind's way of making sense of the loss, of confronting truths that were invisible in the immediacy of the relationship. He begins to connect the dots, the small moments he dismissed, the compromises he failed to acknowledge, the quiet love that sustained him through challenges. In these realizations, there is a mixture of pain and enlightenment. Pain because he knows he cannot go back, and enlightenment because he finally sees what was present all along. The process is humbling. It strips away ego, excuses, and rationalizations, leaving only the raw understanding of what was lost and why it mattered so profoundly. This stage often brings introspection. He reflects on his behavior, the ways in which he may have taken her for granted, the times he failed to express gratitude, and the moments he allowed routine or distraction to overshadow appreciation. Regret forces honesty, not the kind that is convenient, but the kind that demands facing uncomfortable truths about oneself. In this light, the loss becomes not only about her absence, but also about the reflection it casts on his own choices and growth. He realizes that love is active, not passive. It requires attention, respect, and care, and when these are neglected, the consequences are irrevocable. Regret and realization are transformative forces. They awaken an awareness that goes beyond mere sorrow. They reveal the fragility of opportunity and the preciousness of true connection. The feeling of having lost someone exceptional can motivate a deeper understanding of love, commitment, and presence. It is the recognition that good love is rare, and once it is gone, it cannot simply be replaced or replicated. The heart begins to understand the depth of what was taken for granted, and the mind begins to grasp the uniqueness of what was lost. Ultimately, regret and realization converge to leave an indelible mark. They are not fleeting emotions, but enduring lessons etched into the consciousness, shaping how he views relationships, love, and human connection. Losing a good woman is a stark reminder that love requires awareness, effort, and appreciation every single day. It is the painful clarity that true value is often invisible until it is absent, and the only thing left is the echo of what was once present, powerful and irreplaceable. Loneliness and emptiness are often the first, most immediate companions after losing a good woman. The absence is not merely physical, it reverberates through the emotional, mental, and even spiritual spaces of a man's life. A good woman's presence is a stabilizing force, a quiet yet powerful anchor that offers support, understanding, and unwavering care. When she is gone, the spaces she once filled become starkly noticeable. Everyday moments, shared laughter, meaningful conversations, quiet evenings together, suddenly echo with absence. The void is not simply about missing companionship. It is about the disappearance of emotional resonance that cannot easily be replaced. Loneliness in this context is heavy and multidimensional, touching every part of one's being and revealing how deeply intertwined life had become with her presence. The emptiness that follows is often profound because it is rooted in more than routine. It is a reflection of loss on an emotional and relational level. A good woman contributes stability, understanding, and validation in subtle ways, often without recognition. When she is gone, the loss of these intangible elements becomes painfully apparent. There is a vacuum where empathy, intuition, and quiet care once existed, and the absence is felt in the most ordinary interactions. The emotional support she provided, often given without demand, now becomes an unfillable gap. This emptiness is not something that can be remedied quickly because it is woven into the fabric of everyday life and the inner world that has relied on her presence. Loneliness in this scenario is not just the lack of someone to talk to, it is the recognition of a lost connection that was both intimate and irreplaceable. It is the awareness that the understanding, acceptance, and alignment once shared can no longer be found elsewhere. Even surrounded by friends or in social settings, the mind returns to that absence. There is a subtle but constant ache, a sense that something essential has been removed from one's life. This is why the feeling of loneliness is often amplified by memories, triggers, and the stark contrast between past connection and present void. The mind becomes acutely aware of what was lost, and every moment reminds him of the unique presence that can no longer be accessed. Emptiness also brings a heightened sense of vulnerability. Without the grounding influence of someone who was attuned to his needs and emotions, he may feel adrift, uncertain, or disconnected from himself. The stability she provided through understanding, care, or simple presence allowed him to navigate life with a sense of security. When that is removed, even routine challenges or minor stressors can feel heavier. The absence magnifies the awareness of personal inadequacies, regrets, and emotional gaps. Loneliness, therefore, becomes both a mirror and a teacher, revealing how much of life's comfort was tied to the relational bond and how difficult it is to function without that emotional scaffold. The emotional experience of emptiness also intersects with reflection. In the quiet moments alone, memories rise unbidden, gestures of kindness, expressions of love, times when she offered support without being asked. Each memory is a reminder of the depth of her presence and the rarity of her care. The contrast between her past presence and current absence deepens the sense of solitude, reinforcing the realization that losing a good woman is not just losing a partner, but losing a central emotional touchstone. This duality of memory and absence can make the emptiness feel even more pronounced. As the heart and mind oscillate between longing and understanding, loneliness and emptiness are not only emotional, they are also existential. They compel a man to confront the reality that certain connections, once broken, cannot be replicated. The presence of a good woman shapes life in ways that extend beyond the immediate relationship. Her care, insight, and love integrate into the very rhythm of daily life. When she is gone, it is not just companionship that is lost, but the alignment and balance that her presence fostered. The emptiness is a signal of both her value and the irreplaceable nature of genuine love. Ultimately, loneliness and emptiness are the emotional landscapes of loss, revealing both the depth of connection and the magnitude of absence. They are the reminders that a good woman's influence cannot be replicated, that love and care are rare, and that her absence leaves a profound void in every corner of life. It is in this space, filled with longing and reflection, that understanding, growth, and awareness begin to emerge, showing him the full measure of what he once had and what he cannot regain. Self-reflection and guilt are often inseparable companions after losing a good woman. Once the initial shock of absence begins to settle, a man is left alone with his thoughts, and the mind naturally turns inward, searching for answers. He begins to analyze the past with a new perspective, noticing patterns, behaviors, and choices that were previously overlooked or dismissed. Every word unspoken, every moment of impatience, every time her efforts were taken for granted comes into sharp focus. This internal audit is rarely gentle. It is accompanied by a sense of guilt, a quiet but persistent recognition that he could have done better, that he could have shown more appreciation, understanding, and presence. The combination of reflection and guilt is profound because it forces a confrontation with one's own shortcomings and the ways in which the relationship may have been undervalued. Guilt arises not just from the act of loss itself, but from the awareness of missed opportunities to honor the depth of her care. A good woman often gives without expectation, supports without complaint, and nurtures without demand. These acts, so subtly integrated into everyday life, can go unnoticed until they are gone. Once absent, their value becomes undeniable, and the guilt of failing to fully recognize or reciprocate her love becomes a persistent weight. This is a different kind of pain than loss alone. It is a self-inflicted ache that grows from the awareness that one contributed to the relational imbalance, whether through negligence, distraction, or underappreciation. Self-reflection in this context is also transformative. The mind revisits memories, interactions, and choices with a clarity that is sharpened by absence. He begins to see patterns of behavior that may have seemed insignificant at the time, moments of impatience, lack of attention, or failure to listen. Each of these moments, when added together, creates a tapestry of subtle neglect that may have contributed to the weakening of the bond. The realization is humbling because it highlights the difference between intention and impact. Love is not just about feeling, it is about consistent actions, attention, and responsiveness. And in looking back, he recognizes where he fell short. Guilt, while painful, carries with it a seed of awareness. It forces acknowledgement of responsibility and compels introspection. Unlike simple regret, which may focus on the absence of the person or the pain of loss, guilt focuses on one's own actions or lack thereof that played a role in that loss. It is an emotional mirror reflecting not only what was lost, but what could have been done differently. This process is rarely immediate or linear. It unfolds gradually as memories surface, comparisons are made, and the contrast between her presence and absence becomes increasingly vivid. The weight of self-reflection can also provoke profound learning. In the quiet moments alone, he begins to understand the nuances of commitment, empathy, and appreciation. He sees that love is not passive, it requires attention, engagement, and acknowledgement. Every gesture, every word, every act of patience or understanding from her is re-examined through the lens of hindsight, revealing its significance and rarity. This heightened awareness often brings both sorrow and clarity, as he comprehends not only what he has lost, but why that loss is so meaningful. Self-reflection and guilt can also catalyze personal growth. When confronted with the consequences of one's actions or inactions, a man is forced to evaluate himself honestly. He may recognize patterns of distraction, entitlement, or complacency that contributed to the erosion of the relationship. This awareness, while painful, is a necessary step toward understanding oneself and cultivating the capacity to love and appreciate more fully in the future. It is a bitter but essential lesson. Love requires conscious effort, attentiveness, and humility. Ultimately, self-reflection and guilt leave an indelible mark. They are reminders that love is precious, that a good woman's presence is rare, and that human actions or inactions have real consequences. The combination of looking inward and feeling responsibility brings clarity, humility, and a deeper understanding of what it means to honor another person's heart. In this space of reflection and remorse, the full weight of absence is felt, not just in terms of loss, but in terms of the personal accountability that accompanies it. It is a painful, yet illuminating journey, showing that true awareness of love often arrives only after it has been lost. Nostalgia and longing are powerful emotional currents that often follow the loss of a good woman. After her departure, memories of shared moments, gestures, and quiet intimacies begin to surface, often unbidden, creating a mixture of warmth and pain. Nostalgia is not simply remembering the past, it is reliving it emotionally, allowing the heart to revisit moments that once felt ordinary but now reveal themselves as extraordinary in hindsight. The laughter shared over trivial things, the comfort of her presence during difficult times, the subtle ways she showed care, all these recollections carry a resonance that grows stronger in her absence. In this way, nostalgia is both comforting and tormenting, a reminder of what was beautiful and what is no longer accessible. Longing, on the other hand, is the restless H that accompanies nostalgia. It is the desire to reconnect, to feel again what was once present, and to bridge the gap between memory and reality. This longing is profound because it is rooted not only in desire for her physical presence, but in yearning for the emotional alignment, understanding, and intimacy she provided. A good woman often becomes a source of quiet stability and unwavering support, and when she is gone, the absence of that emotional resonance creates a void that is impossible to fill. The heart longs not merely for companionship, but for the deep, irreplaceable connection that can only be found in her. Nostalgia often highlights the depth of her impact on daily life. Small routines, once unnoticed, now take on weighty significance. The way she would listen attentively, the way she anticipated needs, the way her laughter could lighten a heavy mood, these moments, which may have seemed ordinary before, now shine with extraordinary meaning. Every memory is a reminder of the consistency, patience, and love she offered without demand or expectation. This retrospective awareness can be both sweet and painful because it illuminates what was lost while underscoring that such care is rare and not easily replicated. Longing also intensifies the sense of personal responsibility and reflection. Memories provoke awareness of actions taken or neglected, words expressed or left unsaid, and gestures of appreciation that were overlooked. In the quiet moments alone, the mind cycles through these recollections, measuring what was given and what might have been done differently. Each memory becomes a touchstone, highlighting the uniqueness of her presence and the irreplaceable nature of her love. This heightened awareness often fuels both sorrow and insight, shaping a deeper understanding of the magnitude of her impact. The duality of nostalgia and longing is that they both comfort and wound simultaneously. Nostalgia allows a man to relive the sweetness of shared experiences, the warmth of her care, and the authenticity of her love. Yet, the very act of remembering also accentuates absence, creating a longing that cannot be immediately satisfied. This tension can be disorienting as the mind oscillates between gratitude for the moments experienced and grief over their loss. The emotional pull is strong because the relationship was not superficial. It was rooted in authenticity, mutual respect, and deep care, which now manifests as a profound emotional void. Longing also serves as a reflection of attachment. The deeper the bond, the more intense the yearning when it is severed. A good woman leaves an imprint not only on routine but on identity and emotional life. Her absence forces awareness of how intertwined lives had become, how much her presence shaped thoughts, moods, and behaviors. Longing becomes the heart's way of maintaining connection in the absence of physical presence, a silent echo of the emotional intimacy that once existed. In this way, longing is both a symptom of loss and a testament to the depth of love that was experienced. Ultimately, nostalgia and longing are intertwined with learning and growth. They are reminders of what truly matters, of the rarity and value of a good woman, and of the importance of appreciation, attentiveness, and presence in love. These emotions are not fleeting, they linger, shaping thought, reflection, and even future behavior. They show that love, when genuine, leaves a permanent mark, and that the absence of someone irreplaceable can bring clarity, emotional depth, and an understanding of connection that only hindsight can fully reveal. Awareness of irreplaceability is a profound realization that often strikes only after a good woman has been lost. While she was present, her value may have been taken for granted, her unique qualities overlooked in the familiarity of daily life. It is easy to assume that someone who is kind, patient, and steadfast will always be there, that their care and love are constants that require no conscious acknowledgement. But once she is gone, clarity emerges, the depth, rarity, and authenticity of what has been lost become painfully evident. A good woman is not merely a companion, she is a rare presence whose combination of love, understanding, and unwavering support cannot be easily replicated. This awareness often brings both grief and insight, as the mind begins to reconcile the magnitude of her absence with the realization that no one else can truly fill the space she once occupied. This realization is deeply humbling. For years, one may have moved through life assuming that relationships, love, or care are interchangeable, that anyone can provide what has been lost. But losing a good woman reveals the fallacy of this assumption. Her qualities are singular, born of her experiences, personality, and perspective. Her love was not a generic expression of care, but a nuanced, deeply attuned presence that responded to needs, fears, and joys in ways that are rare and irreplaceable. Awareness of her uniqueness can evoke a profound sense of regret because it clarifies that the qualities he once dismissed as ordinary were, in truth, extraordinary. No charm, new connection, or temporary companionship can replicate the depth of what she offered. This awareness often emerges gradually, filtered through reflection and memory. A man may notice the countless ways she contributed to his emotional stability, her subtle gestures that kept the relationship strong, and her intuitive understanding of him when words were unnecessary. These realizations are amplified by absence. In her presence, her qualities may have seemed ordinary because they were consistent and unassuming, integrated seamlessly into the life they shared. It is only in the silence after her departure that the magnitude of her impact becomes undeniable. The realization that her love was rare, consistent, and selfless creates a lasting imprint on the heart and mind. Understanding her irreplaceability also illuminates the uniqueness of emotional alignment in a relationship. Love is not simply about attraction, physical presence, or companionship. It is about emotional resonance, empathy, and deep understanding. A good woman brings a blend of qualities that respond to the partner's inner world with attentiveness, patience, and care. Losing this connection creates a void that no one else can fill because the precise combination of her personality, love, and presence is singular. This awareness reinforces the notion that relationships are not interchangeable and that genuine love and understanding are rare commodities, not guaranteed constants in life. The realization of irreplaceability often triggers introspection and humility. It challenges assumptions about entitlement and permanence, reminding him that love is fragile and must be nurtured. A good woman's presence is a gift, and when it is gone, it highlights the responsibility that comes with such a gift, the need to recognize, appreciate, and reciprocate consistently. Awareness of her irreplaceability also fosters understanding that human connections, once lost, cannot be recreated in the same form. While new relationships may offer companionship or attraction, the depth, history, and attunement of the previous bond remain singular. This realization can also carry a sense of longing and sorrow. The heart grasps what it once ignored, and the mind reflects on opportunities to express gratitude, love, and attention more fully. Irreplaceability is not only about what she offered, but about what she made possible, the emotional balance, the shared vision of life, and the quiet strength she brought to the relationship. These aspects are difficult to articulate, but impossible to ignore in her absence, creating a deep awareness of loss that is both painful and clarifying. Ultimately, awareness of irreplaceability is a transformative lesson. It teaches that genuine love, patience, and understanding are rare, and that a good woman's presence is precious beyond measure. It is a reminder that relationships require conscious appreciation and attention, and that the void left by someone irreplaceable is a measure not just of absence, but of unique, unrepeatable value. In losing her, a man comes to understand what it means to be loved fully, and why some connections once gone cannot be recreated, leaving a permanent imprint on the heart and mind. The desire for redemption and growth often emerges after losing a good woman, born from the pain of regret, the weight of loneliness, and the clarity brought by reflection. Once the initial sting of absence begins to fade, a man may confront the realization that his past actions or inactions contributed to the loss. This awareness is uncomfortable, even painful, yet it serves as a catalyst for introspection. Redemption is not simply about seeking forgiveness from others. It is about confronting one's own shortcomings, acknowledging mistakes, and striving to reconcile behavior with the values one wishes to embody. Growth follows naturally from this desire, as the individual recognizes that the lessons embedded in the loss can transform not only his understanding of relationships, but also his capacity for love, empathy, and commitment in the future. This desire arises from the understanding that love, especially the love of a good woman, is not something to be taken lightly. Genuine care, patience, and loyalty are rare, and once lost, they leave an indelible mark. Redemption is driven by the need to reconcile the gap between who he was and who he wants to become, motivated not only by guilt but by the recognition of what it means to love fully. It is an internal reckoning, a process that requires honesty and courage, because acknowledging past failures is rarely comfortable. To seek redemption is to confront the truth about one's actions, habits, and attitudes, and to commit to becoming a more conscious, attentive, and emotionally present person. Growth is an inevitable companion to this journey. The pain of loss becomes a teacher, revealing patterns of behavior, blind spots, and emotional weaknesses that may have contributed to the ending of the relationship. Self-awareness deepens, and he begins to understand that love requires more than feelings. It requires consistent effort, empathy, patience, and the willingness to engage with another person's needs and emotions fully. Every act of negligence, every unspoken word, every moment of taking for granted becomes a lesson, shaping his understanding of what it means to value and nurture a partner. The desire for growth is therefore not abstract, it is deeply practical, grounded in the recognition that relationships demand conscious attention and personal responsibility. This journey toward redemption and growth is often solitary. In the quiet of reflection, away from distractions, he examines not only his past behavior, but also the deeper reasons behind it. He may confront fears of vulnerability, struggles with self-esteem, or tendencies toward impulsivity. These internal conflicts, once illuminated by loss, become the focus of transformation. The goal is not merely to correct mistakes, but to cultivate a deeper, more resilient capacity for love. Growth is thus both emotional and psychological, reshaping how he approaches himself, his relationships, and his understanding of human connection. Desire for redemption often extends beyond personal development to future relationships. A man who has experienced the loss of a good woman may approach love differently, with heightened awareness and intentionality. He may strive to avoid repeating past mistakes, to communicate more openly, and to appreciate the subtle but profound ways in which a partner contributes to a shared life. The experience of loss becomes a guide, teaching the importance of presence, gratitude, and the ongoing work of nurturing intimacy. It is a lesson written in both regret and hope, reminding him that while the past cannot be undone, the future can be approached with greater wisdom, empathy, and intentionality. Redemption and growth are not linear processes. They are ongoing journeys that require patience, humility, and self-compassion. The desire to become better is often accompanied by moments of doubt, frustration, and introspection. Yet, it is precisely this commitment to self-examination and improvement that distinguishes those who allow loss to shape them constructively from those who remain trapped in remorse or bitterness. Through conscious effort, the lessons of regret, loneliness, nostalgia, and awareness of irreplaceability can be transformed into actionable insight, guiding him toward becoming a more capable, appreciative, and emotionally present partner in the future. Ultimately, the desire for redemption and growth is a testament to the transformative power of loss. It reflects a recognition that the love of a good woman is rare, precious, and deeply instructive. While her absence brings pain, it also illuminates paths towards self-awareness, accountability, and emotional maturation. Redemption is not about undoing the past, but about honoring its lessons. Growth is not about erasing mistakes, but about integrating them into a deeper understanding of love, commitment, and human connection. In this way, the experience of losing someone irreplaceable becomes both a mirror and a guide, shaping a man's heart, mind, and soul in ways that can ultimately prepare him to love more fully, consciously, and deeply. In the end, losing a good woman is not just the absence of a partner. It is the sudden clarity of what was truly valuable, rare, and irreplaceable in one's life. The pain, regret, and longing that follow are reminders of love's depth and the fragility of human connection. It is in that space of reflection, guilt, and nostalgia that a man comes to understand not only what he has lost, but also who he is, what he values, and how he must grow. Love is not merely a feeling, it is presence, awareness, and conscious effort. True understanding often arrives too late, but it carries with it the potential for redemption, insight, and a deeper capacity to love in the future. Losing someone extraordinary leaves an imprint that reshapes the heart, guiding the soul toward growth, humility, and a more profound understanding of what it means to truly cherish another human being.